This case should never have come to trial.
I don't think it's fair to call my clients frauds. Because one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. Thank you.
Your Honor, we would like to withdraw our plea of not guilty and enter a plea of guilty.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
If we are to have faith in justice, we need only to believe in ourselves.
And the truth shall set you free!
How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Oh, guilty, but with a real good excuse.
I think the truth will come forth.
You can't handle the truth!
Hello, everybody. It's time for more Law Lite, brought to you by Foreman, Watson, Holtry, FWHlegal.com. And as always, PJ, we are sitting in the high-rise white brick edifice.
Yes, we are.
530 Frederica Street. And we are excited today because we're back on starting a new rally with more guests. And we've brought a guest today, a friend of mine first, and then a business acquaintance, Kris Hughes. And Kris, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. It's awesome to be here at the Foreman Watson Holtry Studios.
Yeah, that's
it's a dream come true.
This room
for sure.
does a lot. It's the FWH Studios. It's the library. It's the deposition conference room. So,
Yep.
But anyway, good to have you. And it was, a lot of people I haven't seen in so long, other than maybe in cars passing. I think we passed in my neighborhood about a month or so ago, and you texted me and thanked me for letting you through. I didn't even know it was you.
Yeah.
So out there looking at houses?
Yeah. My son wants to be a neighbor of Jack's. That's his buddy.
Well, that would make things a lot more fun for Jackson. But anyway, Kris and I guess, I was I was thinking about this on the way to work this morning, Kris. I guess it's been about 6 years we've known each other. I think
it's been longer than that, but that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Flies.
Well,
it's around that range, though.
The first time I met you, actually, I think was at a basketball court, wasn't it? Over at the elementary school where the attorneys play basketball.
Yeah, I think so.
And then after, right, and I was like in 2014-ish.
I think so. I know we played a lot of basketball together for the Davis County Bar Association.
And you had also come here for a closing.
Yes.
When you were going to come back to Owensboro.
My wife and I, yeah. My wife used to work here, and so she worked for Jeff and Jim, and she worked with Landon, and she had a lot of fun. She was selling title, First American.
Paths cross, PJ. We've got a person that's going to be able to go way back with, maybe give us some stories. But Kris is with Thomson Reuters. And,
exactly.
Thomson Reuters does a lot of things, and you're in a special division of Thomson Reuters. And we're going to let you get to that because we have depended upon Kris's insight with regards to our marketing, PJ, for a long time.
Yeah.
Even when he wasn't with Thomson Reuters, Kris was willing to kind of be a sounding board for me, and we've talked, through the years about ideas about things I could or should stay away from, things I could do differently. So he's been real helpful in being a resource for me with marketing, legal marketing specifically. But before we get to that, Kris, why don't you just give us an idea, a little bit about your background, and then we'll get into what you're doing currently.
Sure. I was born in Frankfort and grew up in central Kentucky. Moved around a lot as a kid. Lived in Georgetown and West Frankfort and East Frankfort and Versailles, and loved central Kentucky. Beautiful place. Grew up as a Kentucky fan. Sorry about that. Hey, by the way, I have something for you today.
Oh, boy, PJ. This is our first guest that brought me a gift.
Yeah, so that is a collector's item.
Well, I see.
So,
this is Rick Pitino, Hall of Fame. Is it it's the 2013 National Championship bottle?
Exactly.
Of Maker's Mark. And what a gift. I have seen this, but I don't have one.
Yeah. So there you go. And it's history.
Everybody that knows, I'm a huge University of Louisville fan, and I always talk about that, PJ. And second, I love bourbon.
Exactly.
And so this is like the combination of both worlds. This is 2013, Louisville won the national championship. We all saw that happen, even though some are trying to take that away from us and have taken it away from us. But this bottle will always remind us that it happened. Kris, thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I figured you would love that. Me being a Kentucky and Western fan,
it just doesn't mean as much to you.
It doesn't mean as much, and I was thinking, who's a friend of mine who likes Louisville and really loves Louisville? And I'm thinking, okay, Travis Hultree.
Yes, sir.
And now I can get drunk on Louisville.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. This one may not get opened. I mean,
it's not really supposed to be open.
I will say it right now. I'll say it right now. If Louisville wins another national championship in my lifetime, I will open the 2013 bottle, and I will have a drink from it.
There you go.
I will, if they win another national championship.
Do you want to wait a couple years to make sure it's not vacated, or are you going to roll with that?
Right. Well, and we're spending a lot of time, but, this is such a nice gift, but, Rick Pitino has a tattoo that bears the 2013 national championship on his back. Because of winning it, because he said if we win a national championship, I will get the cardinal bird tattooed on my back. And so he has a tattoo of the university that ended up firing him.
I've seen it. I've seen it. Yeah, it's on there for life,
Now, is it the small of his back? Or?
No, it's right on the shoulder blade of his back.
It's not a stamp, PJ.
I was going to say, I didn't know how dedicated he truly was.
But, okay, well, thank you for my gift. Thank you for the Maker's Mark bottle.
You're welcome. But I grew up playing basketball. I played some baseball, too. Coaches wouldn't let me play football. They said I was too small, and they didn't want, I guess, their shooting guard, point guard to get injured, which good reason why. But started playing all year long, AAU circuits and everything, and we had the pleasure of winning the Kentucky State Championship. So 15 and under, AAU, we won the state championship. It was an awesome, I don't even know if it was really an upset that we won in Kentucky because we had such a good team. We then went to nationals, and we lost our first game against Seattle. Second game, this was down in Kingsport, Tennessee, and I think that's where AAU nationals still are in the Tri-City area. Second game, we were laughed at. We played the preseason number one, expected to win expected to win the tournament. They had a bunch of great D1 players, and they were literally laughing at us in warm-ups, and we ended up beating them.
There you go.
We won by a last-second shot. My teammate hit it, and it was awesome, man. And it was a rebound that went out to him, and he picked it up and shot. And he didn't have the best shot. He had other good skills, but for him to hit that shot, it was awesome. And then they started crying. So laughing at us at the beginning, crying at the end.
A life lesson.
Yeah.
A life lesson, PJ.
And then the third game, we got ran out of the gym. So we didn't make the national tournament per se, but we, at least had the pool.
Right.
We made the nationals. So that was
big
fun.
deal for age 15.
Yeah. So I learned a lot growing up, from coaches and, and my family and others and people in the community. And I really started figuring out, hey, I'm a people person. And so I thought at first I wanted to get into law because I saw some injustice growing up. And I'm sure that's why most of you lawyers get into it. And I really wanted to get into law, so I started studying, taking a lot of those electives at Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky University changed my life, by the way. Go Tops. But I was on the mock trial team, and I was heading towards law school, and I did an internship with the Kentucky Department of Corrections. And one of the attorneys pulled me to the side, and she said, Kris, you have an awesome personality. You're a people person. You should get it. Back then, I'll never forget, she said, you should get into radio. I guess she thought I was ugly or something. I don't know. But no, she brought out like how much she was paid. She said, this is how much I owe the University of Kentucky, or I guess the state, however that is, in terms of school debt. And you should do something else because you would be a really good trial lawyer. But there's so few, as you know, so few trial lawyers. You're one of the few anymore who, actually take things to trial.
Right.
So she said, it's mainly a document thing, and you're not good with documents. You're not going to be a good paper pusher because you lose everything. And my wife can totally understand that.
Yeah, right.
I know she's laughing right now because she's like, yeah, he loses everything. So anyway, the mock trial team, though, we won some awards at Western. Got my first academic trophy, but I ended up going to work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Now, what years were you at Western?
I graduated in 2002.
Okay.
Yeah, and
did you see my statue there?
No, I haven't seen your statue.
I graduated in '92, so I would have been 10-year anniversary when you graduated.
Yeah.
You know? So, go ahead, man.
Yeah, no, I graduated 2002, and I ended up working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car because I thought back then, okay, I want to get into legal sales or possibly even pharmaceutical sales, and that's exactly what I ended up doing for my career. But I transferred with Enterprise out to Western, so I moved out with a couple of my buddies. They played on the football team on the national championship team.
Oh, yeah.
If you remember that.
Harbaugh?
Yeah. What's up, Alan and Brock? And so I moved out to L.A., to Manhattan Beach, where I lived in that area for about 10 years. So I started working for a court reporting and trial presentation company out there and really built up my portfolio. I was different, is what the attorneys would say. I had a country accent. And so it was really thick back then. I even said finger. Yeah, not finger, it's finger, right?
Finger.
And so I couldn't put my finger on it, but
yikes.
So I had all these attorneys coming out, but they remembered my name. So I had Mark Garrigus, like he called me Kentucky Kris. So the one, on CNN all the time and everything, called me Kentucky Kris. Some of my best friends to this day are, Littler Mendelson and had Proskauer Rose, K&L Gates, good friend there.
Yeah.
So a lot of big name law firms were using our services, and I just got good at sales. I made a lot of President's Clubs and Premier Clubs in my life, and I think it's just from putting the client first, working really hard, being determined, following up, being honest, and yeah, that's been my career.
Okay.
But right now, Thomson Reuters.
Well, before we get to Thomson Reuters,
Yeah.
I would be remiss, since I know your wonderful wife, not to ask a little bit about where'd you meet her? How did you get?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. So that's why I'm in Owensboro. I have great in-laws. Love them to death. I'm sure they'll listen to this. I'm not just saying that because of that. But I met my wife out in L.A. So she was, during her MBA at Vandy, she was out there for an internship. And so she was working for Mattel in El Segundo. And we met on the beach in Hermosa Beach. And there's a guy who I remain really good friends with today. His name's Nick Bowman. He's from Owensboro. And he introduced us. And Nick B might listen to it if y'all get a download from actually he's in Miami now, but he introduced us. He thought we would hang out, and then during his wedding speech he said that he was upset because we ended up getting married and he lost his club partner. So you can't win them all. But anyway, my wife's awesome, and we decided after we had our son out in LA, as awesome as LA was for us for 10 years, we needed to move back. It's very difficult, very expensive to raise a child in LA. I don't know how people do it. Private schools, public schools, just everything is just incredibly expensive, and there's just so much mischief a child can get into out there growing up.
Sure. Okay, so what year did you come back to? And so her family's from Owensboro, and so that's why you came back to Owensboro?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And what year was that?
Oh, gosh. That was probably 8-9 years ago.
Okay. All right. So when you came back to Owensboro, did you already have the position with Thomson Reuters, or did that come about after you?
So I was traveling for a year. I was seeing my clients out in LA. So I would travel. I would take take the red eye out of Nashville, or then I wised up and stopped doing that because sleep's valuable, So I would fly out from Nashville to LA, spend a couple weeks there in hotel rooms, and go to downtown, go to Century City, go to Beverly Hills, the Valley, see all my clients, and then travel back and then just work remotely from home. So pretty much half the month I was gone.
Okay.
Which wasn't ideal.
Right.
So then this opportunity came up, and Thomson Reuters has such a great name. Thanks for the shout out, by the way, in a previous episode for Westlaw Edge. It's one part of our company. It's awesome, with research.
It is the pinnacle of legal research, man.
It's cool. But I'm actually in the development, as you know, the growth mode division. And so our division's called Fine Law. So we have different directories like Super Lawyers, Fine Law, Law Info, and Abogado, which is #1 Spanish-speaking directory. And then we do websites and SEO and just social media, any way to get our clients' names out there.
Right. So just so any of our listeners that may be confused, when I do, I like to dabble in like day stocks on E-Trade. Okay, and this is going somewhere. All right, so give me a little latitude here. Legally blind, blonde, right?
Right.
Okay, so
you are a millennial, so
yeah. So when I look at, I appreciate the compliment. When I look at E-Trade and I'm trying to study some of my stocks, or or looking at potential others or whatever. There is a Thomson Reuters service that sheds a lot of light on potential stock, opportunities.
Exactly.
So Thomson Reuters is a big company.
We're a gigantic global company.
A lot of different hands in a lot of different industries, correct?
Thank you for knowing that.
Right.
You're one of the few people who know it. Yeah.
Right. So Thomson Reuters has let's just start with this. What is Thomson Reuters division that deals with the legal industry? Is it Thomson Reuters Legal? I mean, what is it?
So we're a global company. We're huge, and we have a lot of different divisions, right?
Okay.
So we're headquartered, we're headquartered out of Minnesota, but we have a lot of our corporate people out of New York and Toronto and London. We have a lot of employees in India and everywhere. So legal is, to my knowledge, our largest division. Most people know us from the Reuters news agency.
Right.
So we have that big division. We have a pretty big medical division. We have a really big tax software division. We have a government division. But again, back to legal. That's where I am.
Right.
And so we have the research department. So we have practical law, we have Westlaw and so forth. And then I'm in the Fine Law Super Lawyers division. And you're one of the few super lawyers, congratulations, that's ever come out of Owensboro.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So and I'm only talking from here on out from my own personal standpoint, just to make Thomson Reuters in-house counsel happy. So this is not an official endorsed event. I've done CLE presentations and everything over the years, and I love doing it for ethics and everything with Indiana State Bar and ICLAF and everything. But I've presented KJA. Love
you have.
KJA.
Kentucky Justice Association.
Yeah. Hi, Miss Fons. How are you?
That's right, Marisa.
Love you. So my point is so this hasn't really been vetted. This is fun. So this is me personally speaking, but I can talk about what's online. So online with Super Lawyers, it's top 5% of the state, so our Commonwealth. So you have to, there are different parts to it. There's a nomination part, there's an independent research part, and there's a Blue Ribbon Committee. And we have Rising Stars, which is under 40, 2.5% of the state make it. Super Lawyers, over 40, only 5% of the state make it. And in my opinion, personal opinion, it is the most difficult to achieve out of all the awards out there, and it's the most credible and legit. Is it perfect? No, nothing in the world is perfect. We're going to have some people who are left off. We're going to have some people who are consistently in the top 10% instead of the top 5%. Boy, do they let me know about it.
Right.
So,
well, I'm glad you.
Anyway, but congratulations.
Well,
it's
I
awesome.
appreciate it. I'm glad you mentioned super lawyers. You know, PJ, we kind of, we get a lot of these things here, and you and I have talked about it. How the best this and the national this and top 100 and all that kind of stuff. You get flooded with that stuff, and I'm always on to you about, well, get that symbol and put it on a website, get that symbol and get it put on the website. But I'm going to be very candid. The one that meant the most, and actually I teared up the day that I got my super lawyer, had been advised that I had finally met the criteria. And I had no idea exactly what that meant, other than that only a handful of people that I know had ever made super lawyers,
Mm-hmm.
And so, but there's a nomination first. You have to be nominated by your peers, correct?
Correct.
Right. And then after you get the nomination, you go through the review process.
Correct.
And then after the review, and then after it's review, and what are they looking at? They're looking at your experience. They're looking at your position within the firm. What are they?
Experience, bar experience, like bar participation. Definitely ethical stuff. Mm-hmm. So that means if you've made super lawyers, if you are on our super lawyers online directory or in our magazine, you have no ethical issues.
Scars.
I know for sure. So we're looking at a lot of different criteria. It's based on different areas of law. Mm-hmm. So for Travis Holtree, we're looking at personal injury. We're looking at things that are public. Opposed to Bart Darrell, we're looking at more of his areas of law, mm-hmm. right?
Right.
So education and so forth, right?
Right.
So it varies. We try to spread things around the state as much as possible. My personal opinion is I like it when attorneys make it outside of Louisville. I think I hear that a lot from attorneys who haven't made it. It's unfair because Louisville people, they all know each other and they vote for each other.
Right.
But such a huge part of it is independent research, and our researchers do a really good job. I don't know how they do it,
right?
But they do a really good job. And one of the things that brings a lot of credibility in my eyes is it's not necessarily the biggest advertisers. Very rarely it is. I can go down the list, biggest advertisers of the state, every state, and there's no correlation there.
Right.
But there is definitely a correlation in terms of case precedent, in terms of your record. We honor those who are doing really good lawyering.
Right.
That's my experience.
Yeah. Well, it like I said, I mean, it meant a lot. It means a lot to me to be able to put that symbol under my signature line, on emails, and it means a lot for me to be able to put it on our website. So yeah, it's awesome. But now I want to talk to you. You can put the Thomson Reuters hat back on if you want. The world that we're living in, and mm-hmm. It's changing in the way we market. The way that lawyers market themselves mm-hmm. Is changing every day. And, you have, I'm sure, are able to go out here and drive around Owensboro, and there's a lot of billboards.
Yeah.
And there are, and there's a lot of billboards for attorneys that not necessarily are committed to here, okay?
Yeah.
But Thomson Reuters, their focus on marketing is to give a platform that is informative to mm-hmm. potential clients. People that need lawyers can mm-hmm. get the information because of the way you guys go about it, right? I mean, it's more, let's build informative websites. Let's put more information about the attorneys, and let's get that word out. And then Find Law has the word find in it, mm-hmm. To mean how can somebody find a lawyer and know that what they're finding is, what they see is what they get. is that, am I right? Am I picking up on like the heartbeat of Thomson Reuters with legal marketing?
You are. FindLaw's been around since '95. We actually started off with on the more of the research side, kind of as a competitor as to Westlaw, and so you can still find case statutes and things if you search out there. But FindLaw has really transformed over the years into the invention of the internet. Did you invent the internet, PJ, or was that Vice President Gore, or who was that?
It definitely wasn't me. But
it wasn't. Okay.
No, but I wish.
With the internet explosion, we really took off. I mean, we started out in Silicon Valley, and we took off, and we really morphed into placing consumers with the attorneys.
Right.
So the world of advertising, man, it changes so much. Just Google in itself changes so much. I have a cousin who does social media full time. That's all she does. There's so many different parts to reaching out there, and you've always been a visionary. And I remember when he was so excited when you were coming on board, PJ.
It didn't last long.
He's lying. Come on, PJ.
No, I'm serious. So
you had your coffee or something today, Grouch.
He's like, I have
it's
this.
Early.
I have this vision. You don't know how talented this dude is. You know, he's awesome. You can't find these kind of people. No one's at least that time, right?
Right.
Hopefully, there's somebody else who can do
It's
stuff
amazing
now.
how much it has grown. But I'm still number one. Let's just be
there.
honest.
You go. But yeah, you have to meet the in your case injured family where they are. Right. In my opinion, branding is awesome, and I'm a huge believer in branding. So the billboards and all that stuff creates branding, but you have to meet the consumer where they are. So. My wife and I, we cut cable, like 15 years ago. We stream everything. Mm-hmm. I listen to podcasts constantly. I'm walking around and I see Landon. I know Landon sees me walking because we live pretty close by each other. And I'm walking up the hills and stuff. And what am I doing? I'm listening to podcasts all day. Even while I'm working, I have podcasts on in the background. So this just, you think differently. And that's a huge reason, I think, why your firm's tripled in size in the past.
Yes, it has.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you. Even identified. PJ's been an important part of our success here, just because to have the ability to get something produced and out, whether it's video, whether it's some type of graphic art, whether it's a podcast. Having that in-house and not having to go outside to get it done has been tremendous, and it's kind of been just a trial and error thing. We've done a lot of things that aren't good, but we've also done some things that hit. But I think the best thing, and at the end, at the core of who we are, Kris, and this, it was me not being satisfied with sending a bunch of papers and a bunch of stuff to an insurance company. I wanted the insurance company to have to deal with the fact that my client's a person and that my client's life was changed. And when they have to see it and they have to hear it in the form of a documentary, that's a lot different than getting it in a 3-ring binder.
Exactly.
And then this podcast, and we do so much with Thomson Reuters to have for people to find us, right? But my goal is that when they find us to come see us, they already know us and they want to hire us because they've heard us talking about educating them about medical malpractice on our podcast and how difficult it is and how extraordinarily expensive and how it's scorched earth litigation a lot of times. They understand when they come in because they've heard that. We've kind of brought that barrier down to where they feel
exactly.
they can talk to us. They know a little bit about what's going on at the firm. They know a little bit about our lives. They know a little bit, and so we're approachable, And
exactly.
That's been the goal. And so I think of Thomson Reuters and you as the person that helps us with that as a partner in achieving the goal we want, and that is outcomes for clients. And that speaks a lot more boldly and loudly than a billboard.
Exactly.
So
I have to tell you a story about this. So I'm definitely not going to say any names. there's a family member who is a client of your firm, right? And I'm bringing this up, of course, not you. He told me this. So he asked me for advice back in the day, and he got hit from the side or rear end. I can't remember. But he was hurting, and he was telling me, man, I'm hurting, and this person is totally their fault. And I said, yeah, you should hire a lawyer.
Right.
It's not your fault. And he's like, I can't believe the insurance company isn't paying anything.
Right.
And I said, yeah, I can believe it. There are insurance companies, said his name, family member. I said, there are insurance companies who make a living of denying everything and making people go to trial because it's like a numbers game for them. So definitely get a lawyer, because there are those insurance companies that aren't going to pay out anything until you get one, and possibly even go through trial. But don't worry about it. Most things don't go to trial. And I remember years ago, he was looking at one of those billboards you were mentioning, and it's a company that's headquartered in South Florida, firm headquartered in South Florida. And he said, I saw this guy hanging out at Colby's, and he said that the attorney's name, and he works downtown Owensboro. And I said, that's not him. That's not him at all. But he said, no, I'm telling you, he was hanging out at Colby's. I saw him. And I said, yeah, that's not him. But it goes to show, like, when things happen, someone is going to ask for a referral for attorneys that have done good work, and they're going to go online, and they're going to do research. And that is exactly what he did, and he is your client.
Right.
So that's the way that the marketplace is.
Mm-hmm.
People want the best attorney, but people don't know, and PJ and I are going to understand this better than anyone. Most people don't even know that attorneys specialize, right? So why can't, the family law attorney handle my car accident?
Right.
Why can't my wills lawyer, handle my divorce? It doesn't work that way. Attorneys specialize.
Right.
Attorneys focus, I should say, in Kentucky, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
No specializing, no experts in Kentucky. But you need to focus on certain areas of law, and the general public don't understand that. But they do want the best attorney. They don't necessarily want someone who is on a billboard or buying up all the TV space.
Well, I know that you said that you... Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think a great analogy for what you just said is there's a reason today that the guy who runs the general store is also not the town doctor and the dentist. It's like...
Exactly.
You see that... I've seen that in films so many times where someone like goes in to get some horse feed and rope, and then, by the way... they got a molar that needs to go, and the guy just rips it out with a pair of pliers,
Yeah.
So it's important, I think, to have attorneys that can, like you said, focus on one area, and
Exactly.
then you're going to get the best possible representation.
Exactly.
That has created an issue for us that is very... In fact, I've been in meetings the last 2 days with my partners and with a couple of our employees and staff team members. And, we quickly became known as an injury law firm. But for years, it was just Jim and Jeff, and it was just all real estate.
Yep.
And so the first challenge was identify ourselves as personal injury lawyers. And we began to go to town on the brand awareness of personal injury, and saw the need for there to be other areas of law practiced here and done right. And so, we became a firm that also had divorce lawyers and family lawyers, and we became a firm that has, estate planning and probate and those kinds of things. Workers' compensation, you go down the list, and we criminal defense,
Yep.
The problem is that unless you have someone like Thomson Reuters, and FindLaw is a very important tool for this for us, because we can have what we call, I guess, top spots or availability to the public in those different areas.
Yep.
And because we know that we have attorneys that can do that work when the call comes in,
Exactly.
And so it's, while they've helped us build our personal injury practice, we also have been able to get into those areas where we weren't known for at first,
Yep.
Because of the need to focus on different areas. So that's another thing that you've helped us with, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you, and I think credit goes to you. I heard a couple attorneys saying, who are not in your firm, and I'm saying, what are they going to do? They going to sue me while I'm getting a title? I remember, 8 years ago or so,
And you said yes.
And I said, I think it's going to work, and here's why: because they get business between you and, of course, Bart wasn't around back then. You, Jim, and Jeff, you all get the business side of things, which is good because it helps your people,
right?
People, person.
Right.
What? How do you say that, PJ? I don't know.
People.
Yes.
That sounds something like Little Caesars.
So
people.
So I thought it was really smart, and diversity is key, especially COVID hit.
Right.
And I'm talking to some of these law firms that are down 25, 30, 40%. And they're not our clients, by the way. And they're wondering, what's going on? I can't pay my bills and that type of thing. But your diversity is key because family, estate planning, probate, I'm sure all that stuff is rolling. It's smart, very smart.
And all you got to do is hang out in our lobby and know that we have hundreds of people come through this office. Mm-hmm. And they are people that are buying houses in every different neighborhood in this town, from the nicest neighborhoods down to the newest, smallest neighborhoods, or little. There's all different walks of life that are purchasing homes, purchasing real estate through our office. And those people, their loved ones get in wrecks. Those people, they have people injured at work. Those people go through divorces. Those people need estate planning. And so it is a built-in captive audience.
Exactly.
And so hey, the credit for that vision was Jim and Jeff's. That was not Trav. They came and found me. They were like, we need somebody that can run the law firm. Mm-hmm. But land title is this built-in client base for you, and they saw that, so, but again, challenging because since in 2010, when I came over here, the way to market that is totally different today than it was then, because of the internet and because of remote working and things it's changing,
Yeah.
And so.
Yep.
Kris, I know that you had said before, and we're going to have to start to wrap this up, but you said as we were coming in here today that while you were out in LA that you had met some people that may interest PJ, and I'm sure that this may have to be, but in LA, PJ's the big movie guy here, and he produces horror films independently, which is an incredible thing.
Right.
We've talked to, I don't know if you heard, if you go way back, you'll hear some of our episodes with Benjamin Bush, and and some really interesting podcasts we've had with people that PJ's put us in touch with. But out in LA, PJ, I'm sure you're itching to know, who have you met, or who was your,
who have you stayed in contact with that I can get in some of my movies?
That's hilarious. So my cousin's an actor, and so we were in that circle. We would have Friendsgiving, and it's a collection of my wife and I with a bunch of actors, right? So, there's Sarah Drew was one of her good friends. She on Grey's Anatomy, Radio. Remember the Radio movie?
Yeah.
She and her husband Peter, great people. There's Ben. Oh gosh, he was on the OC, and then played a cop in that show. There was, Southland. You remember that police show?
Yeah, I never watched
Southland?
it though.
Okay. You never watched OC?
No. I watched. That was on CW, right?
I don't know.
Wasn't it on CW? See,
I don't
most
know.
of the
I never watched
CW shows I watch were like Buffy or Supernatural, mostly Supernatural, because I'm, a horror guy. So,
and then I played basketball. Right. So I played basketball with a lot of different groups. One of them was Peter Paterno's team, who he represented Metallica versus Napster.
That's cool.
So I know Peter well. He's a great guy, so modest. But these attorneys, they're competitive as heck, and they want to win.
Right.
And so they would, especially in my 20s, that was back when I was good, and can't even hardly walk now. All the miles on my ankles and stuff. But Peter's a great guy. Talked to him not too long ago, actually. And then, let's see, we would go to Lakers games. Howard Weitzman would give us Lakers games because I had a former girlfriend who worked for him. And he had great seats. He was part of the, OJ Dream Team and all that stuff.
Right.
He had amazing seats. So I got to see Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, and Clayton Kershaw are my favorite athletes of all time. I was crushed when Kobe passed. I really stopped watching NBA after that. But I did get to see a lot of Kobe Bryant games. I'm a huge Dodgers fan. Got some pictures. Morgan Freeman. And
I would love to be
the Fonz, be happy to show you. Both of them were good people. I remember I was having coffee, and I looked over, and it was Morgan Freeman, and he was actually meeting with an agent from CAA, and then actually one of the attorneys I knew, who does entertainment law and labor and employment, and so. Went over there and took a picture with him, and I said, "Hey, I'm big fan and everything." And he asked me, he said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from Kentucky." And he said, "I can tell." He said, "I'm from Mississippi." And I said, "Yes, sir." I said, "I definitely know that." I said,
He said, "How do you say finger?"
And that's funny. Finger. So I said, "Yes, sir." And so we talked a little bit, and he told me, he said, dude is always full of wisdom. And he said, I said, "Well, I've been trying to shake my accent, sir, because everybody was giving me a hard time about country accent out in L.A. in a good way." And he said, "Well, why would you do that? It makes you who you are." I was like, okay. I know he's played God in movies and stuff, and I'm thinking, man,
listen to this dude.
That's divine intervention.
You're like, the next time someone says something, I'm going to give them the finger.
But just tons of people. Jack Nicholson and Sean Penn.
That's awesome.
Janet Jackson. My in-laws, speaking of in-laws earlier, so they attended Mass. They would come out all the time when we lived out there. They attended Mass every morning with Kevin James.
Oh, wow.
So Kevin James, there was this church that we would go to, and
they're like, "There's Paul Blart."
Yeah. And just every morning, Kevin James would be in there, and nice guy. One of my best friends, his name's Raul Perez. He's an attorney out in L.A., and he went to Good Shepherd Catholic Church, and we went there a couple times, and Mark Wahlberg was always sitting by him, and he was one of the elders with Mark Wahlberg. It's just
I'd like to. He's like
just all over the place.
Wahlberg's my all-time favorite actor. I love him.
That's his celebrity crush.
That's my celebrity.
He's such a great
awesome.
actor.
I watched.
Such a great actor.
Yeah, he's something. But okay, look. I mean, today has been a great day. I got a commemorative bottle of the 2013 National Championship of University of Louisville Maker's Mark bottle with Rick Pitino on it. Got to talk about, some great people that you've met, but more importantly, just have you here, Kris, and talk about law firm marketing and what you're doing with Thomson Reuters. We're definitely going to get you back again sometime because today you and I did all the talking. I'm going to let PJ do his own interview of you because it's always different when PJ, he asks questions that you wouldn't expect. If you've ever watched any of our Off the Records, it's the questions he comes up with that really brings things out. So
Pete, I hear PJ is definitely the podcast master.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
I hear he's the Joe Rogan of Kentucky.
Well,
Hey.
you know what? I'll take the compliment.
I thought you were gonna entrap me. I thought I was going to be a victim of entrapment, and you were going to Elon Musk
No,
me.
no, I try to go easy on your first interview. Next one, it'll be a different story.
Well, every time I tell everybody says, "Well, I love your podcast. PJ's great." I mean, I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm here. You're talking to me," and they're like, "Oh, PJ's wonderful. Can we talk to Pete?" I'm like, "Okay." So, and I try to tell PJ that, and he's humble. He's like, "No, it's just, I'm not." I'm like, "Dude, this podcast would not be what it is without you."
Yeah,
So.
I stay humble when I'm out in the view of others, but if you were to go to my house, I've got pictures of myself and all over the walls from
I could see that.
times I was on the front of the newspaper and things. So.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get Kris back. Thank you. Tell your wonderful wife I said hello. I just don't see her as much as we used to, and hopefully with COVID going away, I know.
Yep.
I know that you have a new addition to your family.
We do. Yeah, we do. We have a 10-month-old girl. She's, love her to death. We have this amazing bond. It's really cool.
Life-changing, man.
Yeah. And love your lawyer, I'll say. We just had a Love Your Lawyer Day. But attorneys, law firm staff, many of them are heroes. So you need to understand from a general public standpoint, because I'm general public, right? Attorneys are dealing with you on some of the worst days of your life, oftentimes, whether you're injured or whether you're going through some type of family matter, or, all of a sudden grandfather's passed and you're, disputing a probate. A law firm should be looked at in the same light as other professions who deal with society's issues, right? It's service. So look at law firms like that as my parting gift. So, are they at a military level? Are they at a nurse level? I don't know. I mean, that's debatable. But they do deal with society's issues, and they don't get enough credit.
I think Morgan Freeman did pass on some of his...
Yeah, it sounds like you've been hanging out with him more and more. If we could just add a little bit more, the Kentucky southern accent there, it'd be a lot more.
Kentucky Kris pulls things out of us, every now and then.
Kris, we appreciate your time
Thank
today.
you.
I know you got a lot going on. PJ, we'll wrap this one up. It's been more Law Lite. Brought to you by Foreman Watson Holtry, FWHlegal.com. Check us out on all of our areas of social media, and we appreciate all of you. Till next time.
This case should never have come to trial.
I don't think it's fair to call my clients frauds. Because one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. Thank you.
Your Honor, we would like to withdraw our plea of not guilty and enter a plea of guilty.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries of a sham.
If we are to have faith in justice, we need only to believe in ourselves.
And the truth shall set you free.
How do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Oh, guilty, but with a real good excuse.
I think the truth will come forth.
You can't handle the truth.